Today I'm in Dungeness in Kent and it's very windy, so I'm probably going to do voiceover once I get onto the beach because you won't be able to hear me. Nobody likes horrible audio, but right now I think it's okay. So Dungeness, very isolated, desolate. It's just a very sad, depressing place. And everything's decaying. There's old boats that are falling apart. Let me jump in here because that wind was causing audio problems. Now, if you've been watching this channel recently, you would have noticed that I've taken to documenting small towns in Canada, and I'm also doing the same in England. I decided to visit Dungeness because although it's not a town, it's a very unique area in the southeast of England, and I thought it was worthy of documenting. I was last in Dungeness about 6 years ago, and many of the boats in this magnificent beach graveyard are no longer there. I discovered that a couple of years ago, many of those iconic boats were vandalized. They've been burnt to the ground. That makes me very angry and very sad. So before all of these boats are destroyed, I thought I should document what's left because it truly is a special, unique place. I was fortunate to get this photo before this boat was destroyed. It's one of the most popular photos people used to take, but now it's gone. So I'm glad I did capture the scene. I'd rather have it overcast because that adds to the depressive nature of the place. Sun doesn't, although it could be quite fun to get that juxtaposition of a cheerful sunny day in such a dreary, depressing place. So anyway, it's going to be fun, whatever. This is a magnificent place to do a spot of photography, and of course it's going to be black and white. So I'm shooting 28mm on my Leica Q2 monochrome, and I've also got a Leica M3 and I'm shooting black and white film. And truth is, this is an excuse just to bring the Leica M3 out because it's a fairly new camera for me. I say new, it's 70 years old. But I just want to run some film through it and see how it works. See if it works. I'm shooting black and white because this exercise is all about form and texture because there's so much of it there. Most of the images I shot at 28mm because I think that's the perfect focal length that allows me to get close and take advantage of the slightly exaggerated perspective that I can get, and at the same time show some of the environment for context. I'm also using this Leica M3 with a 50mm prime because, well, I haven't used a 50mm in quite a few years, and I thought it was time I started using it again. This camera is designed specifically for a 50mm lens. This was the first time I got a chance to run a roll of film through this camera, and it turns out that it's working fine. But boy, is there a difference between black and white film photos compared to the black and white shots that I took on the Q2 monochrome. Night and day. So the first thing I want to do is capture a wide shot, an establishing shot really, to show all of these shacks and shipping containers just scattered around the beach. I'm liking this view, but I think the sun needs to come out for this one. I need the sunlight on those buildings in the middle of the frame there to make it pop. So we have over there the new lighthouse, and behind this old barn, the old lighthouse, and that looks like it could be quite an interesting little shot with the boat in it there. I'm using a red filter on the Q2 monochrome because we've got some blue sky and that's going to go nice and dark, and the pebbles are orange, so they're going to go very light, so I'm going to get some nice contrast in the image. If I had an orange filter, I would have used that, but I actually prefer red because it just exaggerates things that little bit more. I like a more of a contrasty, punchier image. Now I can't get that cap back on. On the Leica M3, I'm using a yellow filter because I don't have an orange or red. I really need to get a red filter for this thing. So I'm not going to get that much contrast, and the film stock, it's a 400 Kodak T-Max, I think, that's not such a contrasty film stock either. So big difference between the film and the digital photos. Actually, I'd be interested to know which set of images you prefer. So let me know in the comments down below. There's nothing like this place. It's really quite surreal, actually. Now, this is when I wish I had a colour camera, those coloured shipping containers, but there's quite a lot of contrast with the dark skies and the sun hitting them, so black and white should work pretty good. Oh, that could be a good shot with the boat through the containers there. I like that. Oh, I like that white boat through past those lobster pots. That's quite nice. Really like that shot. I think there's an interesting photo here somewhere. I like the line of objects like that. I think I'm going to need the Q2 monochrome with the 28mm for this one, but I'll shoot it with the 50 as well. I think that's a nicer view. Yeah, I like that. I'm wondering if I can get a shot of this boat, the one in the background, and the old lighthouse. If I get really low, I might just be able to... That might just work. I want each of the three objects fairly evenly spaced, no overlapping. I do not like objects overlapping when we've got layers. I think this would make a good shot, showing the detail of the boat in the foreground with the complete boat in the background. And so I'm going to shoot 50mm, so I'm going to be more like this. I want the sunlight to catch the boat and the background to remain dark, and that's going to give it some contrast. If I get nice and low like that, yeah, I like that. That's nice. So the film photos, I scanned them myself on a light box with a macro lens, and I edited them in Photoshop. So I enhanced the grain and it gives it a very old-fashioned look, very grungy look, and I think that's appropriate for the subject matter. But I did create a version of this image with the grain cleaned up, just to compare. I like shooting on film and using digital editing. It's a really good combination. It's the best of both worlds. This is one of the few really photogenic old boats that is still surviving. So I'm going to document it, because in a few years, who knows, this might be vandalized and burnt to a crisp. With this image, there are a lot of mid-grey tones, which isn't the best for black and white photography, but luckily the boat was very light coloured and I did get a little bit of sunlight hitting it and making it pop. But that wasn't enough. I needed to use the dark patches of plants that were scattered around and make sure that I moved so I was in a place where I could compose an image so that they were nicely balanced with the boat. If I didn't include this dark patch in the foreground, for example, the entire balance of the photo would be off. Now, here's the spot where that iconic boat once stood. And here are a few photos I captured at different angles the last time I was here in 2019. I'm so glad I captured them, because look at it now. Dungeness is a fabulous place to visit, and I hope that came across in the video. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up and maybe leave a comment, because that really helps the algorithm and it helps to put the video in front of other people. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.